All right, so I'm going to be talking about a post that we did on InboundREM, and it's a brilliant post. If you haven't seen it, go to inboundrem.com, go under social media, and take a look at it, because this particular post was talking about um, lots of different ideas for creating social media content on your various channels. So first of all, it makes the assumption that you are creating social media content. What it doesn't generally explain is what the purpose of each one of these ideas is, because you have ideas about posting content that expand your audience, create response in your audience, and if you're a real estate agent, which most of you should be, then it's also going to be ideas that relate to you um, making the difference between you creating a conversation and creating conversion. A conversion being somebody that very specifically wants to go list a home, buy a home, creates that kind of conversation where all you do is you leap into a talk about, hey, are you ready to buy or sell a home? All right. So without any further ado, this first strategy is for Instagram. The strategy is called Agent Takeover. That is where you find another Instagram active agent, and you let them take over your Instagram channel. Now, what you do is you go and you do either a live piece of content, you start posting pictures. Essentially, you find somebody else whose Instagram's content strategy, creation strategy you like, and then you take over their channel and they take over your channel. Now, why would you do an agent flop switch? Well, it's an audience creation strategy. And with Instagram and all other social media and Google itself, you've generally got two prevailing concepts. The larger your audience, the more likely it is that you are going to get the occasional person that's going to start to follow you, connect into you, and buy home inside your particular market. And with social media, one of the beautiful things about it is I know a lot of agents sit here and go, oh, let's target local, hashtag Tallahassee, hashtag this, hashtag that. You know, honestly, it's better, generally speaking, that you just go big, that you just target big with things like Instagram, because you don't know where people are moving from. Are they going to move to Tallahassee? The larger your audience, the more likely it is that your content is going to get shared by some of those audience members. The more the times that your content is shared, that is the free advertising that makes Instagram and other social media platforms like Pinterest and Twitch and other channels so incredibly relevant. Is that when people share your content, you are effectively getting free advertising. You got in front of the person that's doing the sharing, but they're getting you in front of other people. So the idea of taking two agents that are similar in appearance, similar in age, but have a different content strategy is incredibly clever for audience expansion. Okay. Number two, 360-degree room tours. Now, this is a slightly technology-based strategy, okay? But essentially, you take a carousel feature to create room tours with 360-degree photos, allowing viewers to explore each category. Now, if you don't know how to do 360-degree photos, you're going to want to look that up on a separate, like with a separate Google search, separate YouTube search. There's going to be tons of people that are going to explain how you actually capture this particular content strategy. Now, strangely enough, doing this particular or specific content strategy is going to be a mix of audience creation and response. Because if you happen to show something to somebody that you're getting in front of and that person is ready to buy a home, needless to say, doing a walkthrough tour is going to be a good strategy. Now, if all of your channel is 100% walkthrough tours, that's where most agents fail. All right. When you do a single content strategy on a channel, you are only appealing to one audience member type, the type that is into real estate porn. All they want to do is look at homes, whether they can afford them or not, or they happen to be in the 9 month to 12-month period of their life where they're shopping homes. Once they're done, you'll lose their patronage forever because they're not going to keep coming back to your channel. And one of the ideas behind social media is leveraging an informational brand that keeps people inspired on your channel. Now, Rosie is doing a very influencer type-esque, strategy. She's got lots of pictures of herself because she happens to be young, she happens to be pretty, so she's going to get a lot of people viewing. And if you happen to be young and you happen to be pretty and you're watching this video, by all means, copy this strategy. It's a very particular strategy to her. When it comes to what might people be looking for in terms of trying to have the same, like, you want to create different types of content that is lifestyle content that bleeds into who you are. You can look at Joyce Ray for a very, very, very different kind of strategy. Joyce is 80, I think, always very well done, very well dressed up. Oftentimes films herself at events and award events. And why is that? Because she is a legendary real estate agent. And so she focuses on where she's at in her life. Whereas Rosie is focusing on where she's at in her life, drinking a cup of coffee at a nice cafe. She's not taking pictures of kids or family. Doesn't mean she doesn't have them, just means it's not what she wants her brand to be built around. So that's all creating a certain type of follower. I personally wouldn't go with the Rosie strategy because looks fade, and I'm all about longevity. So I would become an expert in my craft, and start to create content that is based on more like what people want to see. Now, swiping left and right is another share impressive property transformations using Swipeable feature, engaging users with visual comparisons. This is much more my style. This is effectively Instagram's like case study feature. Okay, how you can use a case study to do, for those of you who have anything at all to do with people renovating homes, building homes, builders, things like that, before and after pictures are going to be incredibly cool. Okay, and we want there to be, if it was me, the swipeable feature is this. Okay, so it's just a photo carousel. You can go before and after, like here before, here after, here before, here after. That's the feature. And the idea is this: before and after photos for those of you who are specializing in renovation properties or remodels in specific. There's a lot of room for this strategy in incredibly high-end marketplaces. You get people spending $10 million on a condo or a piece of land by a lakefront or an oceanside, and no sooner have they bought it than they start to tear it down or remodel it. It's not that common, but when you are in the rare position where you absolutely have an interesting before and after, that kind of content can drive engagement on your social media, create conversion, create an audience, create a memory for the people, because it's hard to get content. Doing before and after stuff that is difficult, that takes you a year to create the content, take a couple pictures when the project starts, then, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, making sure that there's very visual differences in each comparison. And then a little bit of text to describe the case study along the way. Now, what you tend to find when you do that is your audience will not be as big. You will not expect that many followers. What you will discover is that if you are providing stuff that actually takes heavy lifting, which AutoHome is, and she made our case study, and notice that she is not the same looking as this young lady. Rosie Walden and Ashley just don't look the same. Ashley is focused more on her particular lifestyle, and I really love that. She's also focused on doing the heavy lifting that Rosie is not going to do, okay? Because she doesn't have to get engagement, to get audience growth. She doesn't have to. But if you don't have that going for you, you can apply the same strategies that I apply, which is knowledge, heavy lifting, trying to get out there and make sure that you're providing something that is consistently valuable to your audience. What you will discover is I don't have 500,000 real estate agents following me. I have a lot of COOs, CMOs, CEOs, my competitors, people that really have a lot of influence but don't have a lot of time. They follow me. Why? Because they know that I do the heavy lifting on research every once in a while. And when I do, they want to know what I've got to say. There's more than one way to build a social brand, but once you create a true deep impact in meaningful followers, you will discover that even though she only has 1,573 followers, I'd say that Autohome has a very good chance of having some kind of conversion, actual phone calls and messages come in off her Instagram, the same way that Joyce Ray does. Daily dose of design. So this is a very interesting strategy. Let's just say that you are not a common real estate agent, or if you're very, very lucky, some real estate agents are just into relationship building. They build, they want to help people. They build relationships with people, and they're kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. And occasionally you find somebody that is different. Let's say you have a design degree, or you have a fascination that bridges on unusual. Christoph Chu is another guy I always reference because he has an absolute love of architecture, home design. He's got a fascination that shines through in all the social medias, which is why he's been voted the #1 real estate video influencer for many, many different times. And he's always in the running. And it's because his passion for, like, he'd be able to tell you what kind of refrigerator this is, and he'd be able to tell you what kind of stone these counters are, and what kind of light fixtures these are, who made them. Doing a daily dose of design, which this is actually the before and after, and a daily dose of design. Now, what would you do with this? This is an audience creation tool, not like as highly likely to be conversion, but very likely to be an audience builder. And if you are a design-focused real estate agent, an incredibly strong strategy to use, especially if you are willing to take the time to comment on this. Now, this person didn't do what I would have done. They're not specific enough. It is obvious that the homeowner was responsible for the changeover in design, likely an investor that they do business with. They didn't understand what the elements of the design were. When you can talk specifics on design, you really have a chance to demonstrate your expertise, which is going to create a more devoted, more educated, more likely, more wealthy audience. So I think they missed the mark on the description, but they did do a very good job of posting something valuable with the before and after. Interactive story quizzes. This is really good when you are an educating type of real estate agent. I would say interactive story quizzes is an excellent strategy for those of you who are team leaders trying to create teams. Then what you want to do is you basically want to make posts around what kind of knowledge should you have, and do you have it? And if the answer is no, and you're positioning yourself as a person that has all those answers, an interactive story quiz type puts you in an incredibly strong position, which is another thing worth mentioning. I know that many real estate agents, brokers, things like that are looking for strategies to hire people. Instagram is one of the best ways to recruit. I hope I don't have to say that again, because the agents that I think you want to get in front of are younger agents, because older agents with extremely established audiences and things like that, listen, it's very competitive. Let's just put it that way. Younger agents are where you want to be. Spotlights and stories, okay? This is for lifestyle brand. You want to create this when you are trying to speak to your local audience, okay? People on Instagram, and you're talking to them locally and you're trying to build up a rapport. Spotlight stories are going to be a very strong strategy for those of you who are trying to actually keep in front of existing customers. Keep in mind that social media is now one of the best ways to establish and nurture what's called your sphere of influence. Okay. A lot of stuff can get done with email, postcards, things like that. But if you really want to create an engaging relationship with your audience, make sure that they follow you socially if you're active socially. And by the way, there's an old school form of real estate agent and there's a new school form. I'm telling you right now that the old school has about another 5 or 10 years and then they're going to be gone. All of them. This is the way. This is the future. Look to it. Time lapse renovation reels, really cool idea where you capture content and then you do a time lapse. This requires that you look up other posts on how to do time lapse. Property tours where you sit and talk and go live. Real trends interpretations, weekly IG live market insights. I love this. This right here would be the only way that I would say that on Instagram, if you're building an audience and you're trying to figure out a way to leverage that audience into conversions, this is it, number 10. All right. You do a weekly live update, build your audience, make sure that you're consistent with it, and you'll start getting communication on Instagram. It'll be really cool. And the communication will lead to deals. Twitter social media content ideas. Trivia Tuesday, quick tips thread, quote of the day. This is an audience building thing. Twitter's full of memes. It's great. Quick tips thread, another audience building thing. Trivia Tuesday. Twitter is not as good as Instagram for creating. Twitter is like a brand mechanism. If you're already producing content for Instagram, you probably want to have it be on X. And obviously it's not Twitter anymore, it's X. All right, live Q&A sessions. For those of you who are traditionalists and already have an audience, this is a great way. I would say go back to number 10 and do market updates on Twitter as well. If you can figure it out, and I'm sure there's a way to do it, I just don't know. This is one of my very live feeds ever. First ones, you want to go and do live updates on Instagram. All right. Facebook social media content ideas. So we're here. Now you can see that we've got a lot, and I'm already, I don't know how many minutes into this. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to start going through here. So Facebook social media content ideas, community spotlights, interactive polls, property photo albums. So interactive polls, don't like that idea that much for most things unless you have a really engaged audience, and then I love it. Property photo albums. That is an idea to establish credibility. So think of it this way. It's just, the psychology behind it is not so much, are you going to get somebody to call you or not? It's really going to be a piece of a larger puzzle. When somebody goes to your Facebook page, yes, you want property photo albums of properties that you've sold in the past, okay? Not listings. Facebook is a great way to add a puzzle piece to, is somebody going to hire you or not? Are they going to follow you or not? Stop thinking of Facebook pages as conversion tools. They're really informational tools for the most part. I'm not saying universally, not 100%, but if you're going to ever bother with Facebook advertising, you're going to want to make sure that you have a strong page to drive people to so that you engage them, keep them as an audience member, and get ancillary benefit. Facebook advertising is always used to try to generate leads and make some money. That makes sense. At the same time, though, it doesn't make sense that you don't capture the full value of your advertising budget. That makes no sense at all. You want to make sure that you've got some behind the scenes videos, open houses, some reviews on your Facebook. You want some updates here. All of this content is valuable to maintain and grab an audience, especially for those of you already using Facebook advertising. This is a way for you to get better bang for your buck. So if you're watching this and going, what I'm going to share with you is that if you've got a $500 budget or whatever, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, this is really a way to capture a huge amount more value. Makes a lot of sense for those of you using Facebook advertising. Pinterest. 87% of Pinterest users are women. You know yourself. Are you engaged with women or not at all? So first and foremost, who is your audience? For those of you who live in older marketplaces where the housewives still do, or it's a very outmoded way of thinking, but still there is a segment of the population where women do a lot of the shopping for the home. And if that is your market, and only you know that, then Pinterest is a place you should be. 100%, no doubt about it. For those of you listening to this, so whether you're here, you can go through the ideas. They're very strong. Go look at the boards. Pinterest is really about entertaining and engaging. You send people to other platforms that have video for conversion. Very little conversion for real estate comes off Pinterest. However, audience capture and building an SEO is where Pinterest is at. I use Pinterest all the time. I use it for my clients. We use it as a social platform that sends tons of people to websites, and maybe in a second or third tier kind of way, Pinterest does yield conversion, but not directly, not on the platform itself for real estate. Property showcasing posts. All right, we're still on Pinterest. Property showcasing posts. Property showcasing posts are really for if you've got a lot of different types of content. You should be thinking of your property showcasing posts as thematic. Does it fall in line with your brand? Anything that you list or buy or sell that doesn't fall, you should be focused on a vertical or a niche, whether that's neighborhoods, a type of property. You really want to become known for something. Divorced law, like divorced real estate transactions, probate, living trusts, scaling up, scaling down, single family homes, particular neighborhoods, particular buildings. I can go on and on. You want to make sure that your property showcases fall within the brand that you're trying to create for yourself online. And they are mostly, they could be conversion and they could be audience building. You really want to know, it's going to probably depend on the property showcases. What you've got is average. You're crossing your fingers and hoping for some type of audience building. However, if you've got, or in some type of conversion, if you've got something extraordinary, a great remodel, luxury home, waterfront, I can go on and on. Hopefully, you know, really great view, something extraordinary. Now you're going to really build an audience off property showcases. Okay, huge audience potential. Don't let it go to waste. Educational, informative posts, my favorite, hands down, my favorite. Anybody can do them. What you need is a little bit of dedication to understanding the area that you're in. For consummate learners, consummate teachers, consummate people that enjoy reading, people that enjoy research, this is your strategy right here. Educational and informative also doesn't go out of style. The deeper that you can get into it, what kind of appliances do you want to put in the home that you're building? Why do they matter? Insurance, property tax, cost of living, energy efficiency, mortgage FAQs. Go through here and look at them. But I'm telling you right now, these will both get an audience and a conversion if you get dedicated to teaching and learning. Free ebooks for agents. We have a couple ebooks you can grab off InboundREM. Grab them, and then you can put your own name on them. All you got to do is give us credit for having written the book. Okay, so we're actually literally giving this to you. All right, so please take advantage of it. It's on our website, inboundrem.com, under real estate, social media, post.com. It's 5 books. Our brand still stays on it, but you can also put your name distributed by, given to you by, whatever, and there's no cost. We are doing this transparently just to collect a name and number and add you to our email marketing list. Visual inspiration posts, work in progress, before listings. We covered this in various fun and interactive posts. This is something that Krista Mayshore did a really good job at. This is being amusing, doing a comedic thing, finding something funny. This is an audience building strategy. Fun and amusing gets shared a lot. That's why real estate memes are effective. That's why they will always be effective. Just depends on what you're trying to do. We have a lot of real estate meme things on our site, and our audience, our traffic has grown by about 500% since we committed in the last quarter of last year of doing 5 new posts in the real estate meme, entertaining, best movies kind of category. We're just building an audience. That's it. We're not trying to create a conversion off those posts. We're just trying to create an audience. An audience in the world of SEO and social media both extends your reach, increases the power of your profile, and if you've got the time and the patience, it will yield conversion. It just takes a while. Holiday and seasonal posts. If you're a holiday person, do them. If you're not a holiday person, don't. You're just appealing to other people who are doing holiday stuff. Interactive storytelling posts. Obviously, I love these. Interactive is calls to action. sending people places, involving them in activities. This is very important for people that are dealing with large interactive luxury markets. Like if you're trying to figure out how to talk to a billionaire, you don't talk to the billionaire. You talk to their kids, you talk to the activities in the area, you create something fun that other people are going to be looking at. The problem with billionaires and all that dream of hyper wealthy people like myself is that we're always busy. Oh, I'm not hyper wealthy. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but like hyper busy people is what I meant to say. And we're always busy. It's consistent. So you just want to appeal to other elements of our life because you've got far bigger chance to appealing to their personal assistant or somebody like that, who then is going to take you out and they'll get you in front of that person. Think of it as a two-step sale. Interactive storytelling for eBooks for agents. We got this twice because obviously we want your names, contests, and giveaways, which is part of these books. Make sure that if you do download this stuff that you leverage it. All right. Last but not least, so here is well, never mind. The conclusion kind of says the same thing. If for some reason you would like to talk to me about how you integrate social into SEO specifically, which I haven't really talked about because this is social media. It does play into traditional search engine optimization, mostly through engagement. But if you want to have a conversation that was very specifically strategy focused, especially if you're somewhere, you know, in the vicinity of making a decision about maybe changing your marketing strategies up, trying to do organic, getting off the paid rabbit wheel, then go ahead and schedule a meeting with me. You can use this contact form. Listen, this has been my first live update to Facebook. It's also been I'm recording this. I'm going to change it into a YouTube video. So wherever you saw this, like it, thumbs up it, leave me a comment if you feel like I've been helpful. Definitely check out our post. Leave a comment there. I've got a very large content production team that's headed up by a brilliant writer who loves the feedback. So if you want to just not necessarily call me or schedule anything with me, but you do want to give us a little bit of an attaboy, you can go in here and leave a comment. We'd really appreciate it. Catch you the next time, everybody.